Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Amy here. Sorry I have been on a little bit of a hiatus. It's just been busy, and I've had a hard time trying to juggle work as well as like trying to film videos for y'all. I've been doing a lot of reading, so I have lots of books to talk to y'all about, which we'll get to in a later video. But today I thought we'd go ahead and finish off my 2020 favorites, disappointments with this video. This is going to be a few disappointments that I had throughout the year and two more favorites that I just have to mention. But first, let's talk about a few of my disappointing reads, or books, not necessarily disappointing, but maybe I had really high hopes for these books and they just didn't come through for me. So don't come at me. I know some of you have really probably liked these books that I'm going to talk about, and not saying that I didn't like them, it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. First off, we'll talk about Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. I was really excited to get into this book because I loved The Girl on the Train so much. It actually ended up falling a little short for me at the end. I can remember not really being super excited about how the book came to an end, I guess. I think Nell, the beginning of the book, Nell Abbott was her name. Yeah, Nell Abbott, you learn that she has passed away. We learned that Nell's death is not the only death that has occurred in these waters where her body was found. So we basically just learned the truth of these deaths throughout the story, who was involved, if they had any connection to Nell's death. And like I said, I just wasn't very, I was underwhelmed is the word I'm looking for. Underwhelmed at how the outcome of the book came to be, I guess. Anyway, I'm a little rusty at this, can you tell? Another little bit of a disappointment was Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. So many people have loved this book and have heard so many good things about it, and not that I didn't like it. It was just okay. I think I was just expecting more from it, and I was told just to watch out for Karen Slaughter's writing. She's real brutal and graphic and things like that, which is true from reading this book. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, and I think that's what intimidated me to pick up this book in the first place. But I finally did it. So we follow two sisters. They lost their older sister back in the early 90s, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. And both these sisters sort of drew apart and have led very different lives. One has dealt with alcohol and drug abuse, is a single mother now, and the other one has married very wealthy and has enjoyed the finer things in life. And then one night in the very beginning of the book, the wealthier sister, I guess, her husband is murdered. And this is where the sisters sort of reunite with each other, and things start coming to the surface about their older sister's death. So between the two, they start investigating, can the husband's death be connected to their older sister's death, things like that. So it had potential, I think, for me, but then in the end, I pretty much knew what was happening and who was responsible for what happened to the sister, kind of thing. It wasn't surprising, and I just wasn't like, oh my god, this was the greatest book ever. I don't know, but it was okay. I didn't love it, but I liked it. But it just didn't live up to that high potential, to that potential that I felt that it was going to have. Next up is The House Guest by Megan Miranda. Megan Miranda and I have not had really meshed well together over her last couple of books. I've DNF'd one. The other two I've made it through, but just didn't like it. Just not necessarily a fan of her writing style. I always feel confused at what's happening. She has timelines, which I love, but her timelines are so all over the place. I sort of lose track as to who I'm following, who did what, and what's happening where, or in what time frame. This one, though, I had high hopes for because it was a Reese's book club pick. I loved the cover. Of course, Reese herself spoke very highly of it. So I was like, okay, this has got to be the Megan Miranda for me. And once again, it just was not. I will say it was better than the other Megan Mirandas that I have read, but still nothing that makes me want to auto buy from this author, which I feel really sad about. So anyway, we follow mainly one character. Okay, I had to look down at my notes, but we follow Avery, who is a resident of Littleport. This is like sort of like a summer vacation spot, and she, I believe, handles rent spaces, if I'm remembering correctly. One of them for sure, she works for a family that she has been with since her childhood. She was like best friends with their daughter. 2017 is when she takes us back, and Sadie was her best friend. Sadie was brought up by a wealthy family, and they only visited during the summer, so Avery and Sadie became like best summer friends. Her friend Sadie, one lonesome summer in 2017, was found dead, and I don't believe her murder was ever solved. So this one did have like good potential. We're getting clues as to leading up to Sadie's death and what happened on that fateful night. So it does have very good potential. But once again, the timelines were kind of all over the place. I didn't know where we were at. I got a little confused at times of who was who and who did what. Yeah, I did say in my Goodreads review that I didn't see it coming, but then it ended up to be nothing very exciting, is what I stated in my Goodreads review. Yeah, so just a big disappointment. I was hoping this would be the Megan Miranda book that would, you know, pull me back out where I would want to read more of her work, but I'm very disappointed in this book that this book didn't do it for me. But this is My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. There was so much talk around this book and how good it was, and I really wanted to like it. But yeah, I think I had my hopes way too high for this book, when really I was just completely bored the entire time, because all we follow the husband, which we never learn his name, but we follow him, and he's telling the story about how he met his wife, I want to call her Maleficent, but I know that's not right. Millicent? I think it's Millicent. Millicent. Yeah, so basically he's just telling us the story of how him and his wife met, and how later in their life they needed to spice things up, so they started killing women. So he takes us through about how they come about doing that, how they pick their woman, or how they pick their women, I should say. And I just got really bored. I got really bored with it. There was a little bit of a twist towards the end, but I remember it did nothing but piss me off. But then I ended up liking how the ending played out. The book was just really boring for me throughout the entire time. Like, all we did was listen to the husband, and we don't even know his name, talk about his wife and how they met and how they go about killing these women, and I just was not excited about that. So I have yet to pick up any more Samantha Downing, but I would like to. I know she's got another book out, and then I think she's coming out with another one this year. Maybe it might be out already. I don't think so. I have to look into that, but I definitely want to pick up another Samantha Downing, and hopefully this one maybe just wasn't my cup of tea, but maybe the next one will be. Okay, so those are my, I guess four disappointing books for the year of 2020. Of course, I had other books that I didn't particularly like, but these are the ones that stood out to me as just being disappointing because I had such high hopes for these for these books, or these authors, I guess. So moving on to the 2 books that I absolutely loved in 2020. I had to somehow give a shout out to these. I don't know which one to talk about first. I think let's talk about The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo first, by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Loved this story. Did not think I was going to love it at all, because it's a little bit of a historical fiction. There was so much about this book and this story that I loved. I'm telling y'all, Taylor Jenkins Reid just knows how to tell a story. I really need to pick up more books by her. This is only my 2nd book. But in this book, we follow the life of Evelyn Hugo. She was the Hollywood sweetheart from the very beginning, from such a young age, like I want to say 16, 17, something like that. She did everything in her power to become a Hollywood sweetheart, and she did everything she could to stay on top of her game and to stay Hollywood sweetheart for so many years. So not only was that a very intriguing story of how Hollywood works and what she had to do to keep her status, but there's also the story of her true love throughout this book. We meet her true love early on, and we get little snippets of them being together whenever they can, which was a truly powerful story, and just shows you that, you know, love wins in the end. And then we also get the story of Monique. Monique is our journalist, I guess, who is writing Evelyn Hugo's story. So Evelyn Hugo contacted Monique herself whenever she was ready to tell her story. Her story has always been one of the stories that journalists has always wanted to put out there, but Evelyn was like, no, I don't want to tell my story. Now she's ready to tell it, and she wants Monique to tell it. So there's that little backstory as well as to why she wants Monique to tell her story. It was just so, I mean, it was perfectly written. So many little things going on in the book that you're just so involved in. I couldn't put it down. I absolutely loved it. I did listen to this on audio. The narration was spot on for this book. We have like a cast of characters, so every character has a voice, and it was just phenomenal. I freaking loved it. This next book was the most powerful book I have ever read. The most powerful type of love story. I know there's so many powerful love stories out there. Love wins overall with everything. The heart wants what it wants. I wasn't expecting to love this book as much as I did. It was the book of the year in 2016, but it took me a couple more years to read it, and it is All the Ugly and Wonderful Things. Sorry, that was my phone. All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Bryn Greenwood. Beautiful, beautiful story. This is a very forbidden type of love story. I wanted these two people to be together so bad, even though it was forbidden and they shouldn't have, but I wanted them to be together so bad. I cried so much in this book. This is a story of a young girl who has pretty much raised herself from the age of 5. Her name is Wavana. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to silence my phone. What is happening? I'm sorry. I apologize. Anyway, Wavona, but Kellen called her Wavy. That was his nickname for her. Wavona, or we'll call her Wavy, raised herself since she was basically 5 years old. Her mother was a drug addict. Her father owned, or was like a drug lord. He had like a meth lab. So not a very good upbringing whatsoever. She also was raising her little brother, Donald, at the age of 5. And then in comes Kellen. Kellen comes around when Wavy is about 18 years old. There's a 10-year gap, age difference between them. But Kellen jumps in and helps as much as he can. Kellen is a very simple guy. He does work for Wavy's father, but he is not a drug user himself. He sells the meth, but he does not use it himself. He knows it's not right, but he has to get by some kind of way. He's, like I said, he's very simple guy, and he's just trying to do the right thing where he sees wrong things are happening. So he tries to help Wavy. He brings her and her brother food. He brings them to school. He does whatever he can over the years. He stays with her father's business so he can take care of Wavy and her brother. One night things get a little out of hand, things happen, and Wavy and Kellen are separated for years. But their love is not lost. So from there we just get the story of like Wavy's survival, how she survives without Kellen. Kellen is all she knows. Kellen is all she loves. He was her true savior from the very beginning, from such a young age that she cannot see past that. She sees past his simplicity and just the way he is, who he is. All she sees in him is her love for him. And Kellen is the same. He has grown to love her over the years, but has, you know, he knows that he should not love her because she was so young and he was so much older. So yeah, so it's just their story of their love and how it grew over the years, and how they find each other again. Beautiful, beautiful story. Loved it. All right, y'all, that is it. My other two favorites of 2020. I don't know, I can't tell y'all like my overall favorite. I can't give y'all one book because there were just so many that I love. As you know, if you've been watching my favorites videos, and now that we're in March, I'm finally done with my favorites of 2020 as well as disappointments. So there you have it, folks, right there. Sorry for all the phone interruptions. Put my phone on silent a little too late in the game. As you can see, I'm a little rusty at doing these videos, but we'll get back on track soon. Thank y'all always so much for watching, sticking around, and listening to me rave about these two books and talk about my disappointments. Hope you're all doing well out there, staying safe. Spring is in the air. I'm super excited about it. We have a couple projects going on around the house. It's another reason I've been kind of missing. We've got two projects, one outside patio pool area that we're redoing, and I'm also painting, and I'm making a little library for myself. So yeah, so a couple of projects going on. Work's been really busy, so it's just been, I've been trying to juggle everything. And next up, I have a book haul for y'all that I filmed weeks ago. Weeks and weeks and weeks, probably about a month ago. So I apologize for not getting that up for y'all. That is going to go up right after this video. So stay tuned for that, and I will see y'all very, very soon in a new video. Thank y'all again so much for watching. Bye, y'all.